everybody, it's Femtrooper, and today we're going to be talking about the 3DS versus the Vita. So, I just filmed this video, and wow, I forgot to hit record, so let's do this again. So today I want to talk about both consoles, the 3DS and the Vita, because both consoles are great. Both consoles have pros and cons, and a little bit of this is to shine some light on the Vita because I think a lot of people just completely forget it even exists. It does, it's great, and we're going to talk about it. So first I want to talk about the 3DS. It's a great console, everybody knows that, so let's get that fact out of the way. This is a great little console. It's fantastic. In fact, I would say that it's my favorite handheld console of all time, just because it plays DS games, and it has a great library. It's been out for a long time. It's, the 3DS XL is wonderful. This is just, it's a great looking console. I really like it. It's comfortable. It's great. I know that it's not unique to the 3DS, but the dual screen is awesome. I really do like the dual screen. Having that first screen up here that you look at while you're playing a game, and then the bottom screen as like a menu or a map or anything, it's kind of handy. It's great. So I'll give Nintendo that. I do like the use of a stylus. It can make certain games, things in games better. So I will give a pro to that, just because it really works. The Nintendo 3DS is great because it has a ton of variety, but it also has a huge AAA, first party list of games. Huge. It's Nintendo. You're going to find, various Mario games. You got Yoshi. You got the Pokemon games. Mario Kart 7. 3 Zeldas now on the 3DS. 4 Fire Emblems now. Or 2, depending on how you look at that. Donkey Kong. You've got the works. Now, if you want something that's maybe not Mario, Zelda, Kirby, whatever, there's more niche titles, like Hakuoki. We got Devil Survivor Overclocked. Shin Megami Tensei 4. Project Cross Zone. So you basically have the works for the 3DS. You have everything. There's more niche stuff, and there's big AAA titles. Now, I have like 30 plus 3DS games. I did not bring them all up to this desk here. There's stuff like Tales of the Abyss, Theatrhythm games. There's Kirby, which I don't have Kirby games, but there's everything. Basically, the 3DS is great. It's really got everything for everybody. A huge bonus of the 3DS is the fact that it's so accessible. You cannot walk into a Walmart anywhere in North America and not find 3DS games. Like, you're going to see the 3DS section. Go into Toys R Us, go into EB Games, GameStop, Target, wherever, there's 3DS games. You're never not going to find them. So that's a huge plus, because if you don't feel like spending a million hours on the internet looking for random niche titles, it doesn't matter. Just go to Walmart, go get a 3DS game. Go, you want Yokai Watch? Go to Walmart. It's there. They'll have it right now. They'll have Fire Emblem. They'll have Donkey Kong. They'll have all of it. It's all there. Bravely Default. Like everything. There's everything. The new Mega Man collection. It's there. You're going to find it. You're not going to have a problem ever finding 3DS games. Now, the 3DS is great. It's wonderful, but there's definitely some negatives to this little guy here, and that is the eShop. It is lacking in one thing, because yeah, the eShop is great. It's fine, whatever. It's lacking in the sense that only the new Nintendo 3DS, which nobody has, well, that's not true, but I had no reason to rush out and buy it. Only the new Nintendo 3DS has Super Nintendo games on the eShop, and I think that is a huge, just not good. That frustrates me to no end. I don't like it because the 3DS is a fantastic platform for playing Super Nintendo games or even N64 games. It's perfect. Just imagine playing Earthbound or Secret of Mana. I'd love to play. I haven't played Secret of Mana yet, and I'd love to play it on there. Super Mario World. Any Super Nintendo game would be awesome on the 3DS. I would love it. But, of course, they had to do it, and they're releasing them slowly on the new Nintendo 3DS. Obviously, as a perk for people to buy that. I'm not buying it. I have no reason to buy the new Nintendo 3DS because there's only one title for it at the moment, Xenoblade Chronicles, which is a port, and which is great. That's awesome. But, like, that's okay. I don't need it. I already have it for the Wii. And just the fact that, yeah, it's a better console and it's a bit more spiffy and blah, blah, blah. But I have no reason to rush out and buy it when I already have three 3DSs. Another negative that I see with the 3DS is just the lack of new titles. In my opinion, the last year has just been awful. Now, I know there's going to be people who disagree with me on that because there have been a lot of very, 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 very niche titles, like JRPG titles, that are not mainstream at all. Not saying that I only play through, AAA titles. I love 3D, JRPGs, but I want to see some new big Nintendo games. I want to see, like, a sequel to Link Between Worlds. Why haven't we gotten another Zelda? That would be fantastic. Instead, all we get is just a port of Majora's Mask, which is great, but I'm sort of getting pissed off with ports because I feel like it's just a cop-out. It's like, we'll still make money. No reason to develop something new. So that kind of pisses me off, and just the fact that a lot of releases this year have been more niche JRPG titles, which, again, I like JRPGs, but I want to see something new. A new franchise from Nintendo that it hasn't flopped, like Codename Steam or Chibi Robobot, which has totally tanked. It's kind of annoying. Or even just an old franchise, but they could, like, put out a new game for it. Like, let's see a good new Metroid or a good, a new Mario game. Why do we have to see another Mario Party? Like, I like Mario Party. That's great. Do we need 2 of them on the 3DS? I feel like that's unnecessary. The last downside I see to the 3DS is just the fact that the graphics could maybe look a little better. They're not as good as the Vita, and it's just, they could just be a little bit more polished. The screen resolution is not as good as the Vita. The Vita's great. But that's just a small complaint. Now let's talk about, this little guy here that everyone forgets about. This is a great console. Starters, the screen. This is excellent. It's really great. The games look so bright and vivid and HD. It's wonderful. And it's just a really big screen. It's still touchscreen, so that element does exist there. But it also looks damn nice. This is a nice little console. Feels probably maybe a little better. Just the fact that it's curved. It sits better in your hand. I really like this console just for those reasons. One thing that the Vita isn't as good at is just the fact that maybe it doesn't have the same kind of variety, but it does. And I will show you just the fact that I've got a bunch of different games here that are kind of all different. So we've got like Danganronpa. That is its own thing in itself. But again, a horror visual novel, puzzle game, if you will. Zero Time Dilemma. Again, a visual novel that's horror. That's similar to Danganronpa, but it's executed very differently. Walking Dead. Basically just a visual novel, but excellent. Gravity Rush, action-adventure game. Uncharted, action-adventure, and AAA. Akiba's Trip, a fighting game. That is obscure. X-Blaze Code Embryo, visual novel. And Persona 4, an RPG, JRPG. So there are things on here. I realize that I showed a lot of visual novels and stuff. I have more Vita games, but I'm not going to show everything, but there are rhythm games. I mean, Persona 4 Dancing All Night, that's fun. All the Hatsune Miku games, lots of visual novels, lots of rhythm games. An absolute ridiculous number of JRPGs on the Vita. So if you like that genre, that's a way better console almost to own than the 3DS, just because of the sheer number of JRPGs. There's so many. You're not going to find, all the fun little platformers and sports games and stuff like that on the Vita. Of course they exist, but if you go to if you want a Vita, you're there for the JRPGs and the visual novels. That is almost a plus and a negative. It's a plus because if you like those, great. That's awesome for me. If you don't like them, that's not so good because that's a huge majority. Not that there isn't something for you. I'm of the mindset that if there is 4 or 5 games on a console that you enjoy, it's worth buying. Absolutely. You don't need to have a collection of 40 games to like the console. That's stupid to me, and that's not going to happen. It's not very likely. So I personally think if you can find 3 or 4 solid titles, 5 titles, it's great. It's worth investing. So if you only have if you have a Vita right now and you only have 5 titles, but you like all of them and you've had a good time, then it was worth buying. If you have a 3DS and you have 5 titles that were great, it was definitely worth buying too. The other thing that is great about the Vita, is the fact that you have access to the PlayStation Network, and there's tons of older, more retro games that you can get, like PS1 games that you can get on the Vita. And that is like my favorite thing ever. Because there are so many PlayStation 1 RPGs that I missed out on because I was a Nintendo kid, not a PlayStation kid, so I never had a PlayStation. I still don't have a PlayStation. I have a PlayStation 2, which I know you can play PlayStation 1 games on, which I have, and that's how I was introduced to PlayStation 1 games. The second I got a PlayStation 2, I couldn't wait to go back and rent all the cool, Final Fantasies. Like, I just fell in love with 8 and 9, especially when I got my PlayStation 2, like, a long time ago. But now, I don't necessarily want to play a lot of those games on the TV. It's just, I don't know. RPGs are a huge investment, and I don't want to maybe sit and play Final Fantasy VIII on the TV anymore. I think that might be over for me. If I'm going to play it, it's going to be on the Vita. And luckily, I can do that. There's so many that are available. The game that I've been, asking everybody, what should I play next? What should I play? Because I've kind of been in a gaming funk and not knowing what to play and kind of like, bleh, games and stuff, has been Lunar, Silver Star. And you can get that for the Vita. It's not the PlayStation 1 version, it's the PSP version that you can get for the Vita, but that's okay. That's fine with me. It looks great. I'm fine if there's like longer loading times. I really don't care. I just want to play the game, and I don't have a PSP. Another era just missed out on. So I'm really excited that I can get Lunar on the Vita, just because I don't want to play it on the PlayStation 1. I just don't. I know me, and I just know I won't play it. I'm not saying that I wouldn't buy it physically, because I really like owning physical games. I would maybe buy the PSP version just to have it, just because I like owning the physical. I feel like I don't own it if it's digital. Like, I don't have it. I know that's a weird mindset that probably I'm in the last generation to feel, because I feel like people now just don't even care. Like, they don't need that. They don't need to own something to feel like they have it, I guess, but I do. So that's a huge pro to me, just the fact that the PlayStation Network has so many great titles that I can get, and they're not very expensive. It's like $10, $15, whatever, for some awesome games. That's how I played Final Fantasy VI, ironically, on the PlayStation Vita rather than the 3DS, because it's not available for that, despite being originally a Super Nintendo game. Damn it, Nintendo, seriously. So I played it on the PlayStation Vita, and although I know it was the PS1 version of the game, it was great, and I had an awesome time. I love that about the Vita. That is almost a seller for me, because I don't want to play these games on the TV and have my PS2 on. Like, I just don't. A few cons about the Vita. Expensive memory cards, that might turn some people off. Just the fact that it's hard to find games. You're not going to find shelf space in a store for the Vita anymore. Stores have completely just given up on the Vita. They haven't given up on selling them. Maybe a place like Walmart, yes, but EB Games, GameStop, if you go and pre-order a game, you'll find it. You'll be able to get it in, but they won't. They're not going to have like a huge rack of Vita games anymore, which is disappointing. And I'm sure there are a few stores that still do, but I think almost all the ones I've been to lately, there's no Vita games anymore. It's pretty much pre-order only, or ask if they have it behind the counter. So it's a little disappointing, I'll be honest. But I feel like stores also did it to themselves, because when they did have, every time I'd go into Walmart or EB Games and I'd see the kind of stuff they actually had on the shelf for the Vita, it was lackluster at best. And if they did have stuff, it was always big AAA games that I knew, like, Call of Duty fans don't want this. They should have other things on the shelf. So it's almost like they did it to themselves, which is too bad, because in Japan, the Vita is doing very well, and it goes to show that North America has really just embraced the 3DS, and we just don't seem to care about the Vita here, yet Japan likes both. So those are my pros and cons to the Vita and the 3DS. Both great consoles. Pros and cons to both. You be the judge. If I had to recommend a console, I would go with the 3DS, just the fact that there's way more games, and you're not gonna have a hard time finding them. So I would go with the 3DS if you just want one console. If, however, you're cool with both and you know, you want more than what the 3DS has to offer, definitely get a Vita. I'm sure that both consoles you can get for cheap, used now, but I would say go with the 3DS as your base and then move on to the Vita. Unless you're very specific with JRPGs and you don't care about the Vita and you don't care about Zelda and you whatever, you just want, you know, random Tales games or, you know, Persona 4 Golden and stuff like that, then you will like the Vita. But again, it is very niche and that's a huge con. It is what it is, and it really is targeting a very specific audience, which is not the majority in North America. I mean, JRPGs are massive in Japan, but they are not what they used to be, you know, here. I feel like JRPGs have made a little bit of a comeback, but they're still a niche thing. Like, if I go up to the average person who plays video games and I tell them about some kind of JRPG I'm playing, they don't know what I'm talking about. You know, the gaming community does, but the average person is like, what? Like, they don't know. So the Vita, that's the problem with the Vita. That is, you know, that's a huge problem. But I still recommend it as a console. It's great, and the old PlayStation 1 games are on there. So definitely check that out. But yeah, those are my thoughts on both consoles. Good and bad for both. So what do you guys think? What do you like? What do you have? Do you hate the Vita? Do you hate the 3DS? Do you love both? Do you love the Vita? Do you love the 3DS? Blah, blah, blah. Let me know in the comments. Definitely leave a comment. Click like and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you guys in the next video.